We're gonna get started early. So let's just close that. We're just gonna hop right in. All present? Then let us proceed. Owing to the threat of the tower, the city is currently in a state of high alert, and strict restrictions are in place for entry. Though you have been granted special permission, I ask that you remain close to me at all times. Guess who's gonna fucking escape the second he can?
A vast rock squats upon Thavnair, and to its stony surface clings the city of Rods at Han. Ye who enter here are subject to the scrutiny of gods, the gate's most watchful eye. The orb which beholdeth the truth of all things. Pass beneath its hot and piercing gaze, bearing down like a second midday sun.
Ow.
The fragrant haze, a mixture of sweet incense and acrid smoke. The cries of merchants mingled here with lively melodies accented by dancers' feet. Travelers seduced by vivid sound and colors were once swallowed up by patchwork streets. But no such scenes to savor now. To what somber present does that divine eye bear witness?
Here we are, Megadota. It seems a shame to bring you here directly. Under normal circumstances, it would have been my pleasure to show you the sights.
And it would have been our pleasure to see them. Alas, it seems our tour of the city will have to wait.
I'm afraid so. Come, we should head inside. Your Excellency, may I present our honored visitors?
Ah, splendid. Most splendid. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ahawan, satrap of Radzat-Han. Our alchemists tell me your assistance was invaluable in the creation of the warding scale. Such deeds ought to be recognized in person. Thus did I have young Varshan convey you here forthwith. On behalf of my people, may I express to you our sincere gratitude. assume you speak of Nidana. A regrettable incident indeed. Her colleagues insist that we honor her wishes and trust in the talisman, that it will be instrumental in saving Nidana and the others. I am eager to hear your opinion on the matter, so let us not stand on ceremony. Come, sit.
I think not. This charade has gone on long enough. Show yourself.
Forgive me, but were you expecting musicians, perhaps? There are no performers waiting in the wings at present, but arrangements could be made if you'd prefer.
Nay, he hath the right of it. The time for artifice is past. Raise the curtain.
As you wish.
You travel as assistants to the students of Valdesian, but you are known to me. Even here have we heard of the scions of the Seventh Dawn. I am Vritra, and for years uncounted hath this isle served as mine abode.
Vritra, of the First Brood, sibling to Hraesvelga and Nidhogg.
I, mine elder brothers, of Midgard's Sonma's spawn, I was last to hatch.
Well, isn't this a surprise? We were told Radzat Han had an alliance with a dragon. Not that a great worm sat in the Satrap's own hall.
A necessary subterfuge, as the true tale of our nation history illustrates most effectively. In the beginning, the rock upon which our city is built was home to Vitra, and Vitra alone. In time, the ancestors of the Matanga came to the island and established a foothold. But never did they dare disturb the worm's lair. Next to arrive were the Aura. Adopting the example of their Akasodra allies, they too treated Vitra with reverence and respect. And for many years, an understanding between our forefathers and the Great Worm endured. Until marauding heroes from the mainland came, threatening to shatter our peace and tranquility. When it seemed all would be drowned in blood, Vitra himself came forth and quelled the rising conflict. A peaceful accord was reached, and oaths sworn in Vitra's name. Thus began the dragon's governance of the fledgling state, which was to grow into Radzat Han.
But if Vritra is still here, then your position as Satrap is just...
A charade, yes. And one which my family has performed faithfully for generations.
Many envy the great worms their power. Were it known that I ruled here, then the fires of war would burn without end. I would not be the flame which consumeth my people. Those few who joined me in laying our country's foundations were, perforce, sworn to secrecy.
Your eye. It was taken.
'Tis here, buried within the semblance of flesh. The body before thee is but a simulacrum, constructed by the finest artisans of Radzat Han. With mine eye nestled within, it doth serve as an inconspicuous vessel for my wing.
That would explain why I felt the presence of a dragon upon our first meeting.
I am woven with wards fashioned to deceive such arcane senses. Though 'twas short-lived, it seemeth thy fusion with my brother hath left thee much altered, Estinian warm blood. From the very first, we sensed the nature of one another, yet did neither one of us bare his fangs. That is all I need know of thee for now.
With my secret thus revealed, I have for you a proposal. Not as a worm of the first brood, but as the ruler of Rads at Han. With all haste must we take in hand the finished talismans and breach this foul spire. Thence, should it lay within our power, dispel its wicked influence. Yet even with the assurance of the warding scales, the narrow confines of the tower doth limit the size of our force.
And thus denied strength in numbers, thou must choose thy soldiers with care.
Just so. Yet though our radiant host is formidable, I see a surer path before me. Thou and thy comrades have contended with a multitude of primal beings. Most recently, thou didst cast down false gods in Pagalthan and Cartanau, I am told. 'Tis upon that strength I would call. The Scions have proven themselves the most capable, and I ask that you serve as the tip of our spear. Talismans would, of course, be provided for each of thy companions. And should you agree to this undertaking, more will be provided to make use of as you see fit.
There's no denying it's a dangerous proposition, but the rewards may far outweigh the risk. Just think of what we might accomplish if we could equip all our allies with warding scales. I worry, however, that even the four of us may be too few for what you have in mind. Might we regroup with our friends first to discuss the matter?
'Tis no trifling task that I have laid before you. Go. Steel your hearts and hone your plans. Such time as you require shall we spend in crafting your protective charms.
It seems a quick trip back to Sharlayan is in order.
Wilt thou not lend thine aid?
Whether your request be made as a great worm or the ruler of Rads at Han, I see no reason to refuse, nor will I.
I am in thy debt.
Okay. That meeting took a rather unexpected turn, but we now have a clear objective ahead of us. Let us rejoin our comrades in Sharlayan and muster a suitable crew for our foray into the Tower of Zot. Oh, and if you haven't already done so, be sure to attune to the Aetheryte here before departing, unless of course you enjoy violent nausea. Okay. Ow. All right. Just as I was getting used to the balmy Thavnir, we're back in chilly Sharlayan. Take care not to catch your death, eh? We need you for the battles to come. Now then, your investigation here remains. When that's over, we can take stock of all the developments and discoveries. Brr, 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 brr. Okay, so time to go do this one. Let's grab this Ethernet shard. That way I don't have to later. My directions were easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of the Numenon, Sharlayan's grandest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that, for the archives of Numenon extend deep beneath the surface like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the Great Google Library pale in comparison to Numenon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Sharlayan is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched Ishtola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alizé and Alfino will help me continue my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Sharlayan history or foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study the relevant publications. I promise you a working knowledge of all those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let us be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us at the stone benches over there once they've found some promising tomes. Happy reading! Into the thing. Oh, good lord. Long, long ago, on an island in the northern sea, there lived a Roganan man by the name of Newcrep. Newcrep was a student of astrology, and he divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. So it was he that built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for the imperiled realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waters drove the peoples toward the ocean. It was there, however, that Nunkrep's crew hauled them aboard his ark, but the danger had not passed. A towering wave approached, threatening to smash the vessel to pieces. With only moments to spare, Nunkrep's wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship to safety atop Abalathea's spine. Refugees from the surrounding region huddled there alongside them, but it was not long before disputes over the dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, Nunkrep gathered to him his crew and his grateful passengers and abandoned the ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the north where they built a new ship, intent on returning to the Northern Sea. They landed on the beach of an island and settled upon that very spot. That settlement prospered and growed and in time became the city of Sharlayan we live in to this day. Am I gonna be bad? Yeah, I'm gonna be bad. I'm gonna go get a snack. Hold on, I'll be right back. Alright. Back to it. Red covered book. Many years ago, on the banks of the Thaliak in the Dravanian hinterlands, a Sharlayan colony once thrived. This settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structures and services. As rumors spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Sharlayans. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognize what had become a flourishing town as an official Sharlayan colony. Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Sharlayan, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Sharlayan inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as Emporium. Following the Great Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony and gave it yet another name, Idleshire. During the chaos of the Sixth Umbral Calamity, Archon Nunkrep, founder of Sharlayan, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought to the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement on an island in the northern empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Sharlayans took to heart the words of their savior and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. Upon a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other. A nation born from strength of mind rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of expertise could be bartered for wealth in coin, and the more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And so it was that no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizens of Sharlayan would live by their founders' teachings. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would eschew tools of war and with knowledge deliver the world. Oh, this is, wrong subject. In the years which followed the founding of Charlian, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays of vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 201 in the Sixth Astral Era, it was ultimately decreed that Charlian would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers by means of a nationwide vote. Thus was the Forum as we know it today conceived and created. Sorry, were you waiting long? I wanted to make sure I'd borrowed at least a few promising volumes. Alphino and Kryl should be along shortly. I was delayed in a similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archon stacks mentioned the final days specifically, so we have no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant tomes, if they are even that. At present, the plan is to skim through as quickly as we dare and share our discoveries as we make them. It would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate. Plenty of comfortable places to read and a ready supply of hot tea. Oh, I was quite fond of reading outside. But it's not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants and ask how things were. It seems our deaf father has instructed the staff that even if Alphino and I were to return to Charlian, we were not to be allowed across the threshold. A harsh measure indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position, and that of the Forum, will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. We'll mend this rift one day. I'm certain of it. And what of you, Graha? Have you been able to visit your family? Or do they not live here in the city? Well, my situation is also somewhat complicated. I was raised in Charlian, yes, but I was born rather far away. In the southern reaches of Ilsabad, in fact. For generations, my people have dwelt in Corvos, a coastal region opposite the Isle of Thavner. The Alligans founded a city in that fertile land, and by ship brought in the subjugated tribes of the Makote to serve as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign, and when the Fifth Calamity froze the sea solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eosia. My ancestors, however, chose to remain, that they might prevent the remnants of Allagan technology from being misused. I got another one. Woof. Isn't Corvos under Akalian rule? For the past 50 years, yes. Some semblance of local culture remains, as is most case for the imperial provinces, but Golemald renamed the legion Locus Amenus. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under the jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, the nobles of House Darnus. House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in Allegan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices had been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Allegan Eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliably as it once had. Good lord. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales, and delusion was made to bury our ties to the knowledge and traditions of Alleg. As the last child born with the Allegan Eye, I was given over to the custody of the friends and the students of Baldesian, who had me registered as a Sharlayan citizen. I never even considered. Forgive me, it was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken in by Archon Louisois, was he not? Stories of adopted waifs and rescued orphans are more common among Sharlayans than you might think. Yet, regardless of our origins, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient perspicacity, we outsiders can even earn the vaunted title of Archon. 'Tis exactly why I have such a love for this country, and why I wish to remain a nation where citizens can be proud. Hear, hear. Another good reason to get to the bottom of the forum's stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Good. Oh my god, what is happening? Excuse us while we try to make some headway into these books, Umbra. More company should be arriving any moment now. I can't remember my voice for Alizé at all. Alizé, we've returned with our selections. Although I must say, the pickings were quite slim indeed. Mistress Kryle has already flicked through every history book devoted to disasters, and more than a few which barely made mention of them. Good lord. As such, we will be looking into research papers on the Umbral calamities, as well as I can't talk all of a sudden. As well as articles written by prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, might I ask you a few questions related to the final days? I'm the only one here who didn't witness the events of Amarat firsthand, and fear I may be overlooking critical details. My thanks. Now, where to begin? First things first, what kind of phenomenon did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc on all manner of life. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. That more or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of creation had survived until the present day, we might have something substantial to analyze. To the best of our knowledge, however, these techniques were not preserved or passed on. Ishtola surmises that the closest known magic is that of the summoning rituals promulgated by the Ascians. Was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the final days? Ah, yes, the Amarantines spoke of it, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course, thrust as we were in the midst of the madness. Click! But it seems that each and every one of the catastrophes was preceded by this ominous noise. Eventually it resounded all across the star, and not even Amarat was spared. So the ground was crying out, you say? To be considered the harbinger of doom, it must have been quite distinctive, and probably quite loud. I'll have to speak with one of Numenon's mammoths, and ask after any books which make mention of such a sound. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive action did they take? They summoned Zodiark. Yes, with Elidibus serving as his heart. So many gave themselves in sacrifice to bring him into being. Alizé, we do not know exactly how Zodiark brought salvation to the star, only that by his godlike will were the laws of nature set aright. Then, once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up a further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Life sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls that they intended to render unto Zodiark, a trade that would allow them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed by the primal. Or might have, had Venet and her followers not manifested their opposition in the form of Hydaelyn. Good lord, my nose. Thank you, both of you. For the detailed review, I feel much more confident now in my understanding of events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Telophoroi truly mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. We've seen what they're doing with those towers of theirs. We've seen what they're doing with those towers of theirs. It's forcing people to summon primals, a kind of catalyst. Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magics? Or are they simply using final days as a figure of speech? A convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash? But this is all just pointless conjecture at this stage. Let us return our attention to the forum, shall we? We should keep an eye out for Ishtola, but 'tis time we began studying these research papers. Good lord, I am dying today. I don't know what is happening to me. Hi, Ishtola. I am the last, am I? Well, my extended search of the Archon stacks produced one or two possibly useful books. But I wouldn't get your hopes up. If you recall, Urianger learned of the source's reflections from the Garen oracles. For its potential to cause panic and confusion, that tome was deemed apocrypha and sealed away in the Great Google Library. 'Tis even less likely that knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final day, would be left sitting on a shelf for any curious scholar to find. It stands to reason, then, that my colleagues, be they archons or counselors, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subject. Yet when you confronted Master Fortunal with the knowledge of the Telophoroi and their machinations, he scoffed at the suggestion that they posed a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know if the final days were truly upon us. which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the forum's behavior, it is being kept secret from the rest of the nation. Not to mention, not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty, whether they contain mention of final days or not, these books could yet wield something of value. You weren't thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. I am like dying. I'm struggling today. I might have to get some water. You labor for what feels like an age as this Shola's research assistant. Oh dear, you look exhausted. But what about your studies? Were you able to find any books on the subjects I mentioned? Then the day was well spent. Should you wish to read them again, a mammoth at the reference desk will point you in the right direction. For the moment, though, I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. We might be occupied with our research for quite some time. Boots! I want my boots. Give me my new booties. Recommended. Give me my new boots. Yeah. Ugh. Ready for a tea break, Umbra? I know I am. Honestly, my neck and shoulders are going to calcify if I don't stretch my legs and walk around for a bit. You know the last stand down in the harbor, don't you? Come and meet me near the outside tables, and I'll treat you to their coffee. It's quite good. I guess I'm gonna go with something like that for Alizé for now. I'm gonna need to go get some water though. Here. We'll go over to the to the cafe, and then I'll turn on the idling camera for a sec while I go get something to drink. Oh, that's nice. One of my fans in my computer kicked on and my hands are cold, so I just like set my hands over the vent for a sec. So warm them up a little bit. All right, we're gonna hit idling camera. And I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go get a drink really quick. Cause I'm out of water. Alright. Oh, I came back just in time for this little cutie. He's adorable. Alright. As busy as ever, I see. How very Charlian that no other gourmet cafe has sprung up to compete for customers. Actually, this crowd gives me an idea. Before we place an order, why don't we ask a few questions and gauge the mood of the city? I'm interested to hear what the average citizen has to say about the Telophoroi. We might even learn something new. Worth a try, don't you think? Alright, so she's gonna be following me. What is it? Can a man not enjoy a moment of private respite? If you're looking to share a table, then I respectfully request you look elsewhere. You misunderstand, sir. You misunderstand, sir. Was simply wondering if you knew of the Telophoroi. These enemies of peace have promised an end to all we hold dear and... Wait, you're that House Levier girl, aren't you? And this woman with you is obviously a foreigner. I've heard you were disowned for helping outsiders indulge their barbaric whims, and here you are giving truth to the rumor. I'll thank you to leave me be. I've naught to say to the likes of you. Well, I must apologize. 'Twas foolish of me to expect an ounce of civility from one so enlightened. Come, Umbra. Look at that. That guy's a scumbag. Ah, over there. Come on, Alizé, we're going over here. Yes, I don't believe I've had the pleasure. Pray excuse the interruption, but we were hoping you might share your thoughts on the Telophoroi and their unconscionable plans. My goodness, if it isn't young Miss Levier. My apologies, but I work in the offices of the Forum, and if word reached Master Fortunal that I was helping you... I see. We're sorry to have bothered you. Please be voiced. My voice is tired. Nope. Welcome, madam. What can I offer you today? Wait, is that Mistress Alizé I hear? I see there. My word, how long has it been? Far too long. Meet Dickon, the owner of the last stand. I used to frequent his cafe on occasion, in between lessons at the studium. That seems like an age ago now. I remember hearing that you and Master Alfino had set sail for Eosia, but then you never came back. Lately there's been gossip about your father disowning the pair of you. Everything all right at home? It's complicated. And I hadn't expected complete strangers to be so familiar with our situation quite so quickly. Everyone has an opinion, it seems. Well, it is House Levier. No matter how discreet Master Fortunal may have been, news of your family's doings never stays secret for long. Things being what they are, what brings you back to the city now of all times? We have questions, and only Charlian has the answers. Tell me, Master Dickon, have you heard anything of an apocalypse called the Final Days? What, like the end of the world? Nothing like that, I'm afraid, and that's what you're here to find, information on this apocalypse. Yes, whatever we can learn. Unfortunately, your patrons appear to be unwilling to speak with me. I wish there was more I could do to help. But maybe there is. You're a visitor to Charlian, aren't you? Then few will know your face. We should be able to pass you off as a server with none the wiser. We just finished preparing a few orders. Strike up some friendly conversation while you're setting down the food, and you might just get the answer you're looking for. Not a bad idea. I hate to ask, but what do you think? You know me. I got your back, girl. That's the spirit. Pay attention now, and I'll explain where each of these dishes needs to go. Oh my god. Hold on. I'm writing this down. T2 chatty group. Omelette. The omelette is for one of our regulars, a Highlander by the name of Gisla. She's sitting at an outside table with a friend of hers. Omelette to Gisla. Lobster for Mikote. Got all of that? If you're not sure, just ask and I'll explain again. Good luck. Well, I'm glad he's gonna explain, but... There's Gisla. Okay. So this is the chatty table. So tea. Oh, my tea set. Lovely, thank you. The Talofa who? I'm sorry, I've never heard of them or their final days. My friends and I are somewhat uninformed when it comes to current events. Now, if you wanted to hear about ritual arcane practices of the Sixth Astral Era, common or esoteric, then I'd be happy to talk your ear off. Okay. Gisla got the omelette. Ah, finally. 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's dig in. No time to waste. What? The Telophoroi? Ah, yes, I remember seeing the name in the latest Gazette. That and some grand claim about the end of days? Same old senseless warmongering. When will these fools grow tired of spilling each other's blood? Best stay out of it, I say. The Forum made the right choice, and I fully support our decision to remain neutral. Well, fuck you. At last. The oven-baked lobster is mine. You have no idea how long I've scrimped and saved and suffered to afford this heavenly dish. The final days? That's the first I'm hearing of it. Although, that would explain why my friend has been rushed off his feet. Must be a busy time to be a gleaner. You don't know what a gleaner is? They're collectors of a sort. Travel the world procuring things that haven't got here in Sharlayan. Priceless books, unusual live specimens, and so forth. So, named for those folks who trail after the reapers in the field, picking up every grain which was missed. Aye, by all accounts, gleaning is a most meticulous and demanding profession. If these Telophoroi make good on their audacious threats, then many uncatalogued rarities could be lost forever. Why else would the gleaners be buzzing about in such a frenzy? Watch the harbor and you'll see what I mean. They're carting loads in from the docks all day. Never been this hectic before. Not like this. Nice warm water to help soothe the throat. Any trouble with customers? Were you able to get anyone talking? Interesting. They seem unaware of the final days aside from whatever vague news the gazettes are printing. Even Dickon has nothing to offer, and he's the best source of gossip in the city. If the Forum does have secret knowledge, then they've done an impressive job of ensuring no one whispers it in the wrong ear. In any case, thank you for playing the part so well. Here, that cup of coffee I promised. But let's enjoy our drinks somewhere else, shall we? Maybe behind the peristyle, away from the gossips and the wagging tongues. Yes, this should do nicely. Out of the wind and out of sight. Alright, now I can throw this back over here. Oh, this is gonna be voiced.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Charlian? Graham said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alpha know, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been, how being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family. If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently. They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos. A vast complex beneath the island. Charlian is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility. Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait! Didn't you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual? Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And gleaners answer to the Forum. If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the Forum is planning.
All right. Into the deep library. I leveled to 91, yay! Oh, there it is. I was like, where's my bar? We should tell the others what we've learned about the Gleaners. Go on to Numenon, and I'll join you in a moment. Master Dickon will want his cups back. Da-da-da-da. So, ooh, this is so nice. They've updated the Ethernet menu. Cryle. Welcome back, Umbra. Been for a walk and cleared your head, have you? Not exactly. We did some impromptu investigating and turned up information on the Gleaners. It makes sense. The Gleaners take their requests directly from the institutions and bureaucrats, but as you say, they ultimately answer to the Forum. A sudden and significant increase in Gleaner traffic and in cargo, it certainly gives the impression of an overarching plan being put into motion. Let us see what theory we can build from the facts. As Ishtola observed earlier, Numenon's archives appear to contain no information concerning the final days. Coupled with what Umbra and Alizé learned at the Last Stand, we can be reasonably sure that most Sharlayans know nothing of the particular period of ancient history. Yet my father and his colleagues are not only familiar with the final days, but are also somehow certain that the destruction being perpetrated by the Telophoroi is wholly unlike these apocalyptic events. Moreover, the Forum claims to be so occupied by a duty of such pressing importance that they saw fit to unanimously deny Eorzea's request for aid. And now, the Gleaners, official agents of the state, have been mobilized on an unprecedented scale. I do not think it a stretch to conclude that the Gleaners' recent activities are in service of the Forum's secretive ends. In which case, our next course of action seems obvious. We visit Labyrinthos and assess the situation for ourselves. And, if we're lucky, the Gleaners will be far more receptive to our questions. Oh, I would hate to spoil the surprise. As for myself, there are a few more subjects I would like to research. I may join you later, but feel free to leave behind your borrowed books and be on your way. I'll see to it that it's returned to its proper place. That would be a great help. Thank you, Raha. Let's head down the stairs over there, and I'll show you where the entrance is. I can't read today. Today might be another short one because I'm just like brain dead right now. I'm struggling. Ready? The Labyrinthos is not too far from here, but you may find a path a bit disorienting. I'll take the lead, so stay close. Off we go then. Oh, good lord. Are you serious? This is a brisk walk? Now we run. Try to keep up. That's more like it, good lord. Keep to the path. Straight ahead. We cross that bridge. Up here. The rostra. Not far now. It doesn't help that my throat's a little sore. Here we are, through this door and down the stairs. You did remember to attune to the shard back there, didn't you? It will make your life much easier if you need to come back in a hurry. Otherwise, we should keep moving. Alright, I'm gonna go attune to that shard. Good lord. What is up with me today? It's only been an hour and 20 minutes and I am struggling. I'm sturgling. Yeah, I may call it soon, just because I'm really struggling. But I did promise I would try and stream the rest of the week, so you'll still be getting more streams from me later. It's just I got the sleepies right now. Make sure we register the Chocobo Keep. We're all here now, yes? I've taken the liberty of securing permission for our group's descent. Right, everyone, onto the lift and down we go.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves, and this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Labyrinthus.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing. But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today. It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then.
Ugh. Did you call to me just now?
No.
No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I'm honestly very tired. So I'm going to call it quits here for now. But I'm going to try and pick up again tomorrow, probably about the same time. And we will continue from there. Sorry it's such a short one. I am just exhausted. So, thank you so much for joining. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.